Joining me now is the Democratic candidate for 24th Congressional District who did fall up short on Tuesday. Dana Balter's with us now. How you feeling 2 days now after Election Day?
I feel great. I am very proud of what we did. I think we ran a great campaign. I have so many incredibly dedicated and passionate people all across the district who worked on this campaign, who supported me, and who really believe in what we were fighting for. And I know that the fight for those things will continue. I intend to be part of it. And I know that all of those people who were engaged, some for the first time ever, will continue to also. And that's really exciting.
6 percentage points separates you and the winner, Congressman Katko. But the poll had you at 14 just a week before. Are you happy it got that close? Are you surprised it got that close?
I'm not surprised. We knew that that poll was an outlier and that the race was going to be much closer. I think that it shows, again, the level of excitement and engagement there was, and the desire for change, especially if you compare it to previous races of the congressmen's. You know, we saw a really huge swing in this district, and I think that's reflective of people all across the district wanting something new. You know, hopefully, I know the congressman said he heard that message. I hope that he meant that, and I hope that he'll be responsive to it.
I want to talk about what happens next because you are a constituent of Congressman Katko's. That's how this journey started. That will continue to be the case.
Yep.
What do you hope he learned from this campaign and your role and your supporters' role in it?
Well, I hope that he comes away from this with a greater appreciation for the differences in opinions and perspectives that we see all across this district, and that what people are looking for is somebody who is going to show up and engage with them, someone who's going to participate in public conversation and really listen to people who disagree. That is a fundamentally important part of the job of representative. And actually, you know, here we are just a couple days after the election, and we have a great opportunity for the congressman to show us that he meant what he said, because we are now seeing a new threat to the Mueller investigation with the firing of Jeff Sessions and the appointment of Mr. Whitaker as the acting AG. Now is the time for the congressman to do what he said he supported, which is protect the Mueller investigation by signing on to some legislation. And I'm really hopeful that if he truly took to heart the message of this election, that he will do this, and that will be the first sign to those of us who are looking for him to take that kind of leadership, that he really did hear what we had to say and is ready to act on it.
Have you spoken with him in the past 48 hours?
I talked to him on election night.
And what was that conversation like?
I called to congratulate him on a hard-fought victory, to tell him again, as I've said many times throughout the campaign, that I really appreciate his years of public service, and to ask him to work hard for us in the new Congress.
I spoke to him on election night. I asked him, some of the criticisms in this recent term of his began about town halls. It's something that came up from the Indivisible group very early on across the country and in this district. It came up in some of the exchanges you had with the congressman, some of the conversations you and I have had about the congressman. He wouldn't commit, though, to me on camera about having a town hall. He says he is accessible to his people, and he didn't want to, on election night, focus on that topic, which he says has been a divisive topic. Your reaction to that and your hope for town halls in the future?
My hope is that he'll reconsider his position. You know, as you said, we've talked about this before. This is a conversation we've had in public a lot. The congressman is not accessible to his constituents, and I, you know, have spoken to so many thousands of voters across the district who have the same experience. And I hope that part of his response to this election is to recognize how important it is to open up that conversation in really meaningful ways, not in token ways, but to have real conversation where people can come together and disagree, which I always insist is done respectfully, and every meeting that I have ever had has been conducted respectfully. That's really what people are looking for. And I think the other side of it is that we need more information from his office and his staff. So it's not only about coming out for public meetings, which is very important, but also, so when we call the office to say, hey, the Mueller investigation is in jeopardy, we need you to sign on to a piece of legislation to protect it. Do you support that? Right, that his staff in the office can give us some information, which has not been the past experience. So it's about accessibility a little bit more broadly, and I hope that's something that comes out of this election for him.
Back to your campaign, do you regret any strategy decisions that you made? Do you regret any approach you took? Anything you'd do differently next time?
No, I am incredibly proud of the campaign that we ran. You know, I set out some goals at the very beginning of the process, and I am comfortable that we stuck to those goals. We wanted to run a campaign that was grounded in the people of this district, a campaign that was all about showing up and listening to what people have to say and engaging them in the process. The whole point here was to try and put our government and our political process back into the hands of the people. And that's what we've done. And I think the results that we got were tremendous. We didn't get the ultimate result that we wanted, obviously, but we built something extraordinary here. And the number of people who had never been involved in politics before, who not only showed up to vote, but who rolled up their sleeves and got into the process, who went out and talked to other voters, who found out what a campaign was all about and what they could do as citizens to make the political process something that better reflected their needs and their ideas. That's really what it was about. And we were so incredibly successful in that. And I think, you know, I'm hearing from people now in the time after the election, I'm getting so many messages from people who are thinking about that and who are focused on that and who value that so much and who are committed now to continuing to be politically engaged. And that, I think, is ultimately the biggest goal, because that's how we're going to help shape our community to better reflect our needs.
No regrets, but you came up short. Mm-hmm. Why did that happen? What went wrong?
You know, I'm not sure that there were things that went wrong. I think we were tackling a really big job, right? Congressman Katko won his last race by 22 points. The district swung 16 points in one election cycle. That's kind of extraordinary. And again, the sort of larger picture of the level of engagement and involvement that we saw, I think, is ultimately the most important thing to come out of this. So, you know, it's not about, oh, something terrible went wrong. It was about, we made a great start, and we got to keep doing the work. And we will. And I'm confident that going forward, there's going to be a lot more movement in elections up and down the ballot in this district.
You've been very graceful through so much of this, but there are some supporters of yours who did get somewhat aggressive. I saw it myself at the Paul Ryan fundraiser. Supporters, protesters outside, yelling across the fence to John Katko supporters. Do you think your alliance, your role in Indivisible or any extreme left group hurt you? Do you think that turned off some moderate, undecided voters?
I don't think so, and I also disagree with the characterization of those groups as extreme left. I know that's what the congressman tried to paint them as, but it's just not reflective of the truth. The organizations that we're talking about are mainstream organizations. We have seen them spring up all over the country. The vast majority of the people who make up those organizations here in our district are moderate people. Some of them are Republicans, some of them are independents. It is about exercising your First Amendment right to petition your government, to speak about the issues that matter to you, and to try and make society better, right? That is part of American tradition. That's how we do things in this country. And if you dig into what are the issues that people are talking about, what's the substance of these conversations, they can't be characterized as far left. They are mainstream positions, right? All the things that we fought for in this campaign, Medicare for all, supported by 70% of the people in this country. getting big money out of politics, supported by 80% of the people in this country. A Clean Dream Act, right, to give the DACA people status. 85% of Americans support that. Universal background checks on firearms. 97% of Americans support that. None of these positions are extreme. In fact, the majorities of Americans who support these ideas are so big that the extreme position is to be against them. And I think we can't let people continue to paint passionate American citizens standing up to talk about the things that matter the most in our society as something extreme or radical. It just isn't. It's flat out American, and that's it.
I've been asked by at least 2 people in the last 2 days, with Dana Balter's support that she got, losing by only 6 points, will she run again for Congress in 2020? Have you thought about running again in 2020?
I have thought about it. I have no idea what the future holds. I am going to take a nap tomorrow and get a little bit of rest because it's been a very long 14 months. And I don't know what the next election cycle will bring. What I do know is that we have built an extraordinary thing through this process, and we're not going to let that go. All of these people who have stood up to say, I want to be involved in making Central and Western New York a better place, we are going to keep working to do exactly that. What form that takes at this point, I don't know. But there's a lot left to fight for. And we saw some great results in Tuesday's election. I'm very encouraged by what happened all across the country. Democrats flipped the House, and that means we will have a check on this presidency, which we so desperately need. And there were a phenomenal number of governor seats that flipped and important ballot measures all across the country. We made really good progress on Tuesday, but it's the beginning. It's not the end. And I am looking forward to staying in there with my sleeves rolled up and doing everything that I can to make this region better for all of us.
So you might not become a candidate again, that's undecided, but rolling up your sleeves takes what form? You'll continue to maybe protest the congressman, contact the congressman, be part of these some of the groups you've been a part of. What do the next immediate few months look like?
Yeah, I don't know yet. I'm trying to figure that out right now. I certainly will be contacting the congressman because he's my representative in Washington and he needs to hear from me. Beyond that, I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out.
Will you go back to teaching?
I would love to. It's the middle of a school year now. I don't know if that's feasible, but I have, for the first time in over a year, endless possibility and opportunity in front of me with no constraints. So I don't know what comes next.